extremely difficult choices. It's very hard sometimes. There are 23,000 people in a 2.5 square mile radius. And we are faced continuously with hard decisions about what the community at large needs to be sustainable. As you all know, we've been through very difficult times recession-wise. The community has suffered dramatically. We are in New Jersey, Roselle, the fourth highest, numbers in foreclosed homes. That means that those homes, in some situations, no longer contribute to the opportunity to continue to bring the services to the town. The services that we all expect and want and appreciate, and sometimes take for granted, whether it's road repair, or it's flood issues, or it's making sure that enough tax dollars come in to the point that people are not leaving Roselle. It is hard making the decisions where we have, and I will say the number, 38 churches, 12 parsonages, a number of nonprofits, where by right, they don't have to, pay taxes, okay? Some come and go. There are those that are here with us, three generations of churches where families go and worship, the kind of things that Agape does, that Reverend Snow does, especially during the hurricanes, where you opened up the doors to do phenomenal things. And yes, you are on Chestnut Street. The ordinance that is before, or was before the planning board and the council 2 years ago, okay, was trying to find ways where a small section, because I'm pretty sure that if you walk out the door and you look at Third to First, there isn't a whole lot of area for development and to bring in, as we talk about all the time, those tax variables. And I know money and the spirit don't mix, it's very hard to mix those two. But when we took our oath, okay, and swore under the Constitution and laws of, the government, we said we would try to provide honestly what is right for all the people that we represent. Churches provide, no doubt, a wonderful, in fact, I call this Roselle. When you walk in Roselle, you're in a church. You absolutely are in a church. Every last one of them struggles with a number of things. One, loss of congregation. They are losing their youth. They are losing their seniors. Some of them are worried about whether they might have to close the door. And some are incredibly successful and have been around for a long time, providing immeasurable quality of life situations. So the question is, and I appreciate what you stated, why are we allowing, or trying to provide what appears to be a Mayberry kind of thing? Many of you were not here, neither was I, okay, well, we actually had a train station, which provided transportation for people to be able to go to work and afford the taxes and live a quality of life, where they didn't have to think about leaving the places and the churches they love because they can no longer afford it. And somebody in their infinite wisdom many years ago decided to take that station away. And when that happens, and it's in this, by the way, it's in the report that any one of you may have to be able to read, which is, I don't know how many pages it is, but it's pages long about the redevelopment decisions. Statistically, we lost businesses, people, pedestrian shopping. So small businesses, who very often are the people who live, some of them in our town, were dying. They could no longer survive. Our former mayor's vision and our council's vision was how do we make what was taken away from us thrive, have a beautiful downtown that brings to us not the necessarily the kinds of services we don't need, but bring in the kind of services additionally to churches. What we do need to shop, to have restaurants, to be able to walk down the street and be able to shop in our own town, and to be able to provide those businesses with longevity, and also the ability to pay commercial taxes. I know we run this borough, combined with the school, is approximately $100 million to run. You know, the lesser portion being, you know, our municipality. But if you combine what you're paying, what I'm paying, what everybody's paying, you're talking a little over $100 million, or maybe just about $100 million. Those figures are astonishing, okay, for a 2.5 mile square town. So as we lose people to leaving to other regions because the taxes are lower, because they've been put out of their homes, even though they've struggled and there are people still in the modification process trying to survive. It's like, how can we come together as a body? Because we have to separate. When you're on this council and mayor position, it's not about me. It's not about each individual. It's about the collective good. And that doesn't mean that other things are bad. It just means, how do we reach a decision that benefits as many people as possible? So when we're talking about 22 to 23,000 people that we know of, that doesn't necessarily include many people who are undocumented, who, if you visit our Harrison School, you know, along with others, that our schools are literally bursting at the seams. So that means money to build schools, money to fix roads, money to pick up garbage, money, all that money has to come from not just the backs of the citizens of Roselle. I know that some churches told me just this week that they're not able to do the tithes that they were able to do at one time. So just paying their electric bill is a struggle. Okay, trickle that down to the entire community. You know, it's almost like survival of the fittest. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. It's in and outside. It's in us. It's in this room. It is everywhere. So what we have to do, it's not about what shouldn't be done. It's about what should we do to benefit the whole community. And so originally when people on this council, and some who were not here at the time, went before the planning board with our professionals, they laid out a plan. And they said there's a very small area that's left. You know, St. George being one, as our councilman spoke of, which is we're working a transition piece in order to have the church remains, but in a different location, so that the retail area on St. George that's facing it, that we can get developers to come in. They don't even want to look at us unless we can provide land for them to build on, to develop, to bring services to our community that will benefit everybody that still remains here. So the minister there, the bishop there, worked with us for 4 years. This goes beyond some of the people. He worked with us for 4 years to find out how can we do both. Because he understood, running an organization and what has to be done. Because, let's face it, churches have responsibilities to the organization, and they have to keep it running. So he wanted to know, how can he work with us, and we worked with him, to be able to trade parcels of land so that we could track some very healthy retail establishments that will help bring revenue into our town. That's part of the dilemma, okay? When one individual, and you're right, Reverend Snow, it did not include, you were grandfathered. Just like people that have lived in the town in flood areas who don't pay flood insurance, but I pay $3,000 a year because I came in at a later date. People who lived here much longer. It changes the second that someone decides to sell their home and that someone new comes in. We have a lot to think about. I'm not going to lie to any of you. You know, my intention, okay, although it won't mean anything, is an intellectual and a heartfelt situation, which is to veto the ordinance. And the reason that I do that, I have been up to 3:30 in the morning, just laboring over it. It has nothing to do with how much I love the churches in this town. It has nothing to do with the individual who would like to have a church there. It has everything to do that when you open up and change a law, what was the premise of you doing it? Was it just because it's someone you care about or someone, will it benefit? What is the purpose? Once you do that, as was said, you have to open it up to everyone, okay? So that is the direction they are saying. Preliminarily, the decision was made on behalf of someone we care about very much. But we have to be broader than that. We have an obligation to think about the pros and cons of opening up an area that is supposed to, that has a vision, that we've had architectural designers, that we plan on hopefully bringing more opportunities in terms of retail at a very limited scale because of the size of the geography. Or do we just now open it up and say, that's not, it may not or it may happen. This has nothing to do with anything more than, it's not about not letting churches in, because churches are allowed 90% everywhere in the town. As you heard, Mr. Ron Heyman, our councilman, has 11 within walking distance. It's not about shutting people out. It's about location. And what limited location we have on St. George Avenue to deliver commercial tax dollars so that people don't keep leaving and then we have empty churches. It's not going to cure the whole problem, but our high school's already seen it. High school is starting to lose high school students. They're going elsewhere, they're moving. Now eventually I expect that, the rotation will come from the bottom up and we'll see more. But when you're talking about folks that are struggling, this is a town where the average family makes $60,000 a year, hardworking family, struggling with 4 jobs. 2 jobs to the husband, 2 jobs to the wife. A lot of single parents. If you look at the census, you'll see exactly how hard it is for people to live and exist. You take a third of the taxes away from their $60,000 income, and they are trying to subsist on very little wages and hold on to their homes and their condominiums that they thought they bought an American dream and could continue to live on. That's the reality of our town. Are we really seeing it? So how can I, as a good conscience as a mayor, continue to say, they don't matter? 67% of the people in our town are from African American descent. Look at the census. Then the rest are mixed between Hispanic, Latino, a growing entity that we know of. Okay? So we're not talking about making this a Mayberry. Okay, that's not a reality. What we're talking about is bragging for handshaking for every dime, dollar to take the pressure. The average taxes in this town, I don't know how many people live here, but what, 14,000? for your home, and you're living here how many years?
We make thousand.
No.
You got, oh, you,
14,000? Am I right? Over 14. And you're living how many years in this town?
It'll be 40 years.
40 years, okay? So understand, pardon me? I don't know, can I ask, I'm just curious. Yeah. I think it's important because we've spoken to something that is important and it's a conversation to discuss.
Mayor, I've lost $150,000 in equity in the last 7 years.
Point of order. Okay, point of order is taken, and I appreciate it. I shouldn't have called you to speak. But this is so serious, and we have to consider it in its entirety in the next month. And I ask you, please don't make judgments. Do not see it as my veto being something that is against churches. It is not. It's inclusive. My veto is proactive for all the people in Roselle. My veto will be overturned by a 2/3 majority, so fear not. Okay? You need to understand that, but I have to do in good conscience what my conscience tells me. And it has nothing to do with one individual or hundreds of individuals. It has to do with this entire town and the fact that we have a $100 million budget to take care of our schools and everybody here. So I just want to ask the council to please think about it. And I'd like to say thank you for being here.